Now, All Things Real Estate continues on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN. Once again, here's your hosts, Gary Kelly and Brad Avergon.
Welcome back to the show. We are in the second portion of All Things Real Estate. I'm Gary Kelly.
I'm Brad Avergon.
And we are here to talk about all things real estate and real estate in the coronavirus era. The coronavirus is horrible, obviously, and it's all over the news, and we're setting up temporary hospitals, that kind of thing. And, sadly, people are dying. I will tell you that going out and doing real estate now, we are taking different approaches. We've talked about some of that in the first half, but it's also controversial because some people are of the impression that our very going out and helping people sell their homes is spreading the virus. And I look at it and say, well, there's always that potential, but I would hope that we're taking the appropriate steps to not have that happen. At the same time, we have people that need to sell their homes. And one case in hand, we've got a couple that bought a house down in South Carolina. He's already moved down to South Carolina, and she's here saying, I don't need the house. Let's get rid of it. Right. So we're working on that. How do you, as this thing begins to get to the May 4th date, what do you think? It's just the two of us chatting, and it's not a reflection on Envision Bank or Remax, but your opinion. That's the commentary part of this, the disclosure.
Right.
How do you view our coming out of this? Do you view us as Cinco de Mayo is going to be one big party?
I only wish. That would be awesome. I'd like to vote for that option. But seriously, I don't think realistically that is the way it's going to go. Everything that I'm hearing, everything that I'm reading, everything that I'm seeing indicates, number one, this is going to be a slow, cautiously thought out approach as we begin to kind of start up business again, try to get back to what I'm calling the new normal. I don't think we're completely out of this thing until they develop a vaccine, and they could be years or 1 to 2 years away from that. So I think that some of the practices that we're adopting may become permanent over time, or at least semi-permanent over time while we work through these things.
I agree with you, Brad. I think that it's going to shift from living or waiting to get past this, because I do think that there's some thinking that says, May 4th is the latest date that Governor Baker has put out there. Based on where we are in the surge, I would be very surprised if that doesn't get adjusted out in some way. So I think rather than thinking about getting past this, we need to think about how we live with the virus and do so safely for the coming months.
Yeah, I would agree with you. You gave a great example about the smoke detector certification in the last segment. And, as I thought about that, I said, in some ways, that's an efficiency. You as the listing agent were able to go into a property. Instead of taking time away from the fire department, which is normally what would happen, they would have to come out, they would have to go into the property, schedule a time for you to get in there and so forth and so on, test each smoke detector individually, and then be able to go back to the firehouse, all of that time away. And obviously if they're away from that, there could be an emergency or something that they need coverage on. And I thought, well, why not do the example you used is Southborough, I guess, did some video conferencing in that particular case. And you were able to walk through the property, demonstrate the smoke detectors with them watching. And, obviously the town will still, they'll still have to get their check for the smoke detector certification. But I thought, wow, that's a good efficiency. That's something good that's come out of this, No
question about it. There are towns, when you schedule the smoke detector inspection, some towns give you a precise time and they'll show up, plus or minus reasonable amount. In other towns, it's a window, and the window might be 4 or 5 hours. And it's a lot of downtime. Are you sitting there doing nothing? No, you are probably on your phone, you're making calls, you're waiting for the person to show up. having it done over, in this case, it was FaceTime, just seemed far more efficient to me.
Agreed. One of the changes that we've seen in our end is closings. And, a typical purchase closing, either, both the selling party may be there, the seller may have representation that's there, but you've got your buyers there, you've got your bank's counsel there running the closing. And now with in this environment, they've limited the parties. Number one, when it is an in-person closing, they've limited the parties to just the buyers. So realtors don't attend, loan officers don't attend. We can be there virtually, but we're requested not to attend, just again, for safety precaution reasons. The other thing that's happening is they've had what they call drive-in closings, which is where the buyers can either they drive up and they're actually able to go through the documents. They're outside, and they go through the documents, and the attorney's right outside the window, and then the attorney says, "Do you sign these documents of your free will?" "Yes, I do." But they explain all the documents. There's a little bit of distancing. I know in some other parts of the country, many parts of the country, they have what's called witness-only closings, where the documents go out in advance to the people that are buying. They go through the documents in advance, and then they sit with either a notary, or in this case, it would be an attorney, and they say, "Do you have any questions?" If they have any questions, they address them, and then with the notary or the attorney witnessing, they sign it. It's an efficiency that's come up. I'm not sure if the state will adopt the idea of a virtual closing, whereby, for example, the closing documents might be Federal Expressed to the buyer in advance to see, and then they just witness it virtually, and then the documents are overnighted back. And one of the things that's come out is we've had what's called a gap coverage, which is title insurance gap coverage from the time the documents are executed to the time they're recorded. That's become a very, very important facet of our business that really wasn't used as much before. And it's really become important, and now it's the norm. So there's a lot of changes that have happened that I think are good changes that may ease some of the, or streamline, I should say, not ease, streamline some of the operations that we've had in the past.
One of the questions I get asked a lot is, has real estate stopped? And the answer is no. No, it hasn't stopped at all. I ran some numbers just before we got on the Zoom call. And last year, there were 1,375 houses on the market, single-family homes in Worcester County. Right now, we've got 1,116. Now, that's less, but at the same time, there are those that would say, Easter was early this year compared to last year. Last year it was April 21st, so any impacts of Easter wouldn't be there. There's no question that it's slower. I think where I see the biggest impact is in the showing requests. Showing requests this time last year, we were up 27% from the baseline at the beginning of the year. And this year we're down 27%. But there are still homes selling. So far, month to date, again, Worcester County single family homes, 170 homes sold. And so that's 170 times where someone said, "Ooh, I'm out from under," and 170 times where someone got to move into their dream. So I think it is a new normal. I think it's an evolving new normal. I don't think we know all the answers. And I think that, frankly, by the time this show airs, the rules may have changed. And that's why I think it makes sense to work with folks like Brad from Envision Bank or Gary from Remax, because our companies are large. We have a lot of people giving thought to what the impacts are. And then how do we go about doing business? Because it's not clear today, all the rules and what the best practices are, and it takes time to sort that out.
And I absolutely agree, Gary. And I think it's a day-to-day changing environment. I'm staying on top of the changing guidelines. Some of the programs, the low, very, very low down payment programs that were out there, some of those programs are being called into question a little bit. And we have to watch what the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and FHA do with that on a daily basis, make sure that we're up to date on that. We want to make sure our clients are protected. That's one of the most, untalked about things that's out there, but you and I talk about it a lot because, people get all excited when they're at home buying. Oh, we love this home. We're excited. We want to put an offer. We want to get the home. But a big part of what you and I do is making sure our clients are protected from the start to the finish. And things that go into a contract now there's new things that weren't there before, such as COVID-19 clause that's in there. Making sure that if something happens, somebody loses their job because of the virus, that they're not in jeopardy. Watching mortgage contingency dates, making sure those are okay. Just making sure that the client's deposit is protected through the process while we're working them towards getting there. But we're doing all that, and I think that's where, again, we're working with someone like yourself and Sue, and making sure that client's informed throughout the process. I think it's really, really important.
So one of the things that I found interesting is that mortgage companies always did employment verifications before the closing, but now it's like right up to the window, which is a change, and it makes sense. It's understandable, but it's also something where protecting clients becomes paramount. Brad, we've got 10 seconds to go. What would you say to someone who's looking at housing or mortgages in this time?
I think there's like anything, there's challenges, but there's also opportunities. I think working with the right team of people, becoming informed of what your options are, making sure you're protected through the process, just like you are walking around. Make sure you're protected. Making sure you're protected through the process is key. Proceeding forward cautiously, you may find a great opportunity for you.
Right, and I agree with that. So, Brad, let's bring this to a close. I want to thank everyone for listening and enjoying all things real estate on WCRN.
Before we go, Gary, if they want to reach you, how do they reach you?
They can call me at 508-733-6005 or shoot me an email at gary@movewithgary.com.
And you can also reach me at 978-375-5531 or email me at Avergon, that's BAVERGON @envisionbank.com.
So I've got a new close to the show.
Let's hear it.
Stay sanitized.
Be safe, be well.
Exactly. Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
You've been listening to All Things Real Estate on Full Service Radio, 830 WCRN.